This is Chris Bird, former two-time heavyweight champion.
He is the pride of Clinton, Michigan, the heavyweight no one wants to face, Chris Bird.
Hi, I'm Chris Bird, the host of the BYRD'S EYE VIEW. I'm here with Steve Cunningham, former two-time Cruiserweight champion and former heavyweight champion, Relentless, Lamon, Brewster. And this is real talk, real boxing talk. I want to bring up the subject of a tragic loss. What happened like a week ago, or a couple of weeks ago actually, with a friend of mine, and I think a friend to a lot of people, a great trainer, the death of Emanuel Steward. And you know, the death of Emanuel to me, you know, it's kind of funny because I won't see him no more on HBO. I won't see him in the corner of Vladimir Klitschko. And knowing him, but not knowing him like really close, but just growing up knowing him, it still hurt, you know, that anybody died, especially in boxing and somebody that you know. And with Steve, what you think about Emanuel Steward and how his training was?
Well, I've met Emanuel a few times. I met him at the Hall of Fame in '09. And I met him, actually I was sparring with Vladimir for the David Haye fight. So I was there for 3 weeks, so we got a chance to sit down and talk. I mean, you know, overall a decent person, you know, somebody you would like to be around, especially being a boxer. He always slides in some little knowledge here and there, you know. So I think it's a total loss to the boxing community, to his family, to Vladimir, you know, because he was a big part in that, you know, we see the transition that he brought to Vladimir. So it's very sad, you know, it's sad to see, you know, anybody go, but, you know, in our sport, you know, we have so many few people who kind of know what they're talking about, you know, so, you know, it's sad to see him go.
Yeah. How about you, Lamon? What do you think about Emanuel?
I think he's an icon in boxing. He is somebody that, when I think about boxing as a whole, and I think about the great people of the sport, the people that made boxing great, I think about Emanuel Steward. I mean, you think about his lineage, so to speak. You know, he comes from Crunk Gym, which he started with an apprentice, and then before that, what was it, Brewster's Gym or something like that. So, you know, just to see that brand, like before I knew Nike and Reebok, you see somebody with Crunk, man, this dude can fight.
Yeah, automatically, that's how it was.
So, you know, for me, I coming out of the '96 Olympic trials, he was the first guy there trying to recruit me and whatnot, and you know, it really meant a lot to me. And over the years, I got to work in camp with Lennox Lewis, and you know, going to fights. All fighters know each other, and you know, you get familiar with the trainers, and he definitely always stuck out. So it's definitely going to be something that I, for a long time, would cherish, to say I met one of the greatest trainers of all time.
Yes. Yes, that's the same with me. Emanuel Steward was great. Now, back to you, Lamon. Who do you think gonna be one of the greatest trainers out there? Since, you know, Emanuel Steward passed away, he's a great trainer, great knowledge. You got Freddie Roach with a lot of knowledge, great fighter. But who else who's there gonna step up as like this next big trainer? Who do you think?
You know, I think it would be looking for a needle in a haystack, because it could be some trainer that we don't even know of that is inspired by the death of Emanuel Steward to step up and put his best foot forward. And maybe his death, you know, like they say, when one star fades out of the sky, another star is being born. And we may not know who that star is, so I won't go on record to say, oh, I think it's going to be so-and-so. I think there are a lot of great trainers out there, but I think that the death of this mega star should be inspiration for these other trainers to try to step up and try to not duplicate, but feel that light in their own right.
Yeah. Well, how about you, Steve?
Well, me, with the whole great trainer, best trainer of the year, or best trainer in the world, I don't get into that. I believe that every trainer, there's a trainer for every fighter. There's a trainer that can bring out the best in every fighter and make him excel and just, you know, pull out that greatness out of that fighter. I'm speaking personally for myself. I'm trained by Brother Nazim, and being with him has taught me so much about myself. where I've seen guys run from Brother Nazem because they just can't deal with it, you know. But the same thing with Freddie Roach, you know. He took Manny Pacquiao to other levels. Yeah. We've got Virgil Hunter.
Yep.
You know, him and SOG Andre Ward. You know, they're doing great things. There's so many good trainers out here with good fighters, but I wouldn't say take Freddie Roach and train Andre Ward, you know, or take Brother Nazem and train Manny Pacquiao, you know. Yeah. So it's just I can't call that, you know. A trainer can train a guy. If it's not the right fit, it's not going to work.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in the middle of both you guys. I take what you're saying, definitely, for sure, and I take the same thing. It's not just one trainer out there, and it's not one trainer for everybody. Yeah. Certain trainers fit certain boxers and help them. A lot of trainers, like Emanuel Steward, for instance, I'm hearing that he motivated and put a lot of confidence into Vladimir Klitschko, and that really helped him out more than just style-wise. He's an Olympic gold medalist. Yeah, he was already a world champion before Emanuel came, but Emanuel helped him out in so many other ways. So Emanuel Steward will be missed, and you know, by everybody in the boxing world. And seeing his face, like I said, on HBO, he will be missed. Switching gears a little bit, one topic I like to talk about is MMA and boxing. The boom of MMA. I mean, it's going crazy. They always comparing the two sports. MMA is his own sport. And boxing, we're boxers. We know our sport. We don't grapple and kick, and that's just their sport. I love it, but it's separate. What you think about the two sports, and they try to combine it almost as one?
Well, first off, I'm a fan of MMA. I'm a big fan. You know, I watch it. I enjoy it. You know, I've got my favorites. You know, and I've been to numerous MMA fights. UFC's coming to Philadelphia a few times. I've been to both of those shows. They're two different entities, you know. It's the same thing, it's the same category, somebody trying to knock somebody out or make them quit, but it's total two different monsters, you know. Boxing is the sweet science. Boxing has been around since before it's even documented. We've been balling our fists and punching each other since day one, you know. Boxing's not going anywhere. You know, we've got people always saying, "Oh, boxing is dead, boxing's dying." Yep. Those same people are mainly the writers. You know, the writers are saying all of this. They're the ones who can build the sport up, but they're the ones killing it. You have one bad fight, and they dog it. They throw boxing under the bus because of this one fight. Things happen in boxing. Yeah. This isn't basketball where you get to play Tuesday and then Thursday and then Saturday. This is boxing. You get to fight every 3 months or every 4 months or sometimes twice a year, and we only get that window to shine. But when something bad happens, oh, this is bad for boxing. You got all the writers just throwing boxing under the bus. That needs to stop. Yeah. With MMA, I've been to MMA fights where 80% of the card's been booed. Yeah. And the main events come on and it's a hit, so it's the same thing, MMA is not throwing boxing under the bus, it can't, and boxing is not throwing MMA under the bus. They're two different entities, they're gonna grow and be the separate entities, and I join both.
That's cool. What about you, Lamon? MMA, boxing.
I think Steve just really summed it up, they're two different entities, one is freestyle and one is backstroke, I mean, they both set out to accomplish the same goal, but they're two different sports. I just, man, everything you said really took the words out of my mouth. I mean, I from a spectator standpoint, I definitely admire MMA, and I go so far as to say, I say to people, had MMA had been around when I was growing up, I would have been in MMA. Yeah. Why? Because I grew up under bullies, man. I grew up in the hood. And knowing how to fight was the only thing that could save you. Yep. Fight or run, but you could only run for so long. But MMA would have been perfect. But being that it wasn't, being that I was like the biggest Bruce Lee fan in the world, I knew he liked boxing, and they didn't offer nothing in the community other than boxing in terms of full contact fighting sports. Yeah. So I took up boxing, and I studied the craft. I studied the art of boxing like an actor would study for his role. So when I stepped into the ring, I was everything that I thought that I could be. Something that I lived, I ate, I slept, I drank, And I just try to encourage others to follow that path in life, whether it be boxing or not. But you know, getting back to what you said, just they're two totally different things. Yeah. You cannot compare the two. You can just respect both of them.
Exactly.
Yeah. See, I have the pleasure of asking the questions. I'm in the middle of both you guys again. I love MMA. I mean, I love the sport. One thing I love about it, you got to work your butt off. Yeah. It's a conditioning sport. Yeah. And then you get in there, they got to figure each other out. Just like boxing, it's a style matchup. Yeah. And to understand the style, you get in front of this guy and you start learning habits in the ring, not only watching it on tape before you get into the boxing ring, but while you're in the ring. Yeah. I got to learn you. I got to read everything you do. MMA, I've been around certain MMA guys, been to the gym watching them train. I'm like, they got to train just as hard. Yep. I mean, it's a hard sport, but it's two separate sports. And I love it. And I hate when people compare it to, well, MMA is taking over boxing. Right. Come on, boxing, like you said, been here since Bible times. I mean, you know, it's been here for a long time, so it's not going to change. But just love both sports, two separate sports, and leave it at that. Exactly. There's no beef between the MMA and boxing. No. So going on, switching the gears a little bit again, I have another question to throw out there for us as boxers. When should a boxer retire? You know, when is that last fight for a boxer?
I want to answer that because when you said that, the first thing that came to my mind is he should retire, a fighter should retire when they can no longer win a fight. And I mean, that's just to sum it up, because you cannot put an age on it, because some people, like bigger weights, for instance, heavyweights don't truly develop their grown man strength and maturity, so to speak, until they're in their 30s. Whereas if you take these lighter weights, by the time they get in their 30s, they're pretty much done. And I'm only going according to, I'm looking at all the fighters that I admired, you know, from Julio Cesar Chavez to George Foreman, and heavyweights. And then speaking of myself, because I won my title at 31, but ironically, it was at 36. I'm sitting there telling my wife, like, wow, now I feel my wisdom then kicked in, my maturity then kicked in. But, you know, I don't believe that a smaller fighter could say that, because, you know, the history shows that when a smaller guy gets 35, 36, he's done, you know?
Yeah, and that's true. But I want to talk a little bit about what you said. But think about this. Myself, right now, I'm 42. I'm done boxing. I can find somebody to beat. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So when you say it, as far as are you talking about on a higher level? Like when a guy...
Any level. A guy should retire when he cannot win a fight.
But what I'm saying is, you could always find somebody to beat.
Well, if you still want to do it, then I would say you do it.
Yeah, and I understand
because
that.
Because you know what? You only get one life. Yeah. And at the end of the day, who got to live with that? You or anybody else?
Very true.
Because people always going to have an opinion. When I was growing up, people always just say, "Oh, little dude, you gonna get knocked out," but they didn't say "dude." They used, you know, they always put me down. I mean, I was a skinny kid. I graduated. I was 18. I was only 175 pounds, and then in 3 months, I went from 175 to 230. But the point I'm making is, there was always somebody that was bigger, somebody stronger, somebody faster, you know. But what I found out, my winning factor in my life was my faith in God, my determination, you know. So that you can't put an age on that, you know. I think you have to do it when you're ready.
What you think about it? It's similar situation. I believe that when a fighter can't perform, you know, to that level, especially you got elite fighters, you know, you got different levels of fighters. You got elite fighter, you got club fighters, then you got guys who just get, you know, go to fights just to make a check. They're professional losers, you know. We've known guys out there like that.
Yeah, just journey.
They know not to get knocked out because they want to fight next week, you know. Right. So you got on the elite level, that's the level I can understand that. And on this elite level, it's no game. You guys know, you've all been there. You're where I'm trying to get. And at that level, if you're losing a step, if you're missing a step, that could be your life. That could be that could determine how you speak to your kids for the rest of your life.
Yeah, true.
If you're working, if you're paraplegic or whatever, you know. So My main thing is when your skills start to slip. And if they slip to that level where you can't perform the way you were, that made you who you are, then you need to sit down and start reassessing, what's next.
See, I think the same thing as far as a guy that's just consistently losing.
Yeah.
Can't win a fight. And you know how boxing is, when you fighting on a high level, and then when you start fading, you still got to fight guys that's pretty good.
No
you can't
doubt,
fight those bums. Nobody want to see you with bums.
Yeah, exactly.
And I personally look at guys like, dude, you need to stop fighting. But who am I to say that he need to stop fighting?
Yeah, exactly.
I just wish certain guys, because I love them so much.
Yeah,
I love boxing so much. I love watching guys box.
Yeah.
Stop.
Yep.
Just stop. Because, in boxing, you want the glory. You still want that fame.
and that
you want
money.
that money.
Yep.
And you still want to be called champ. You want somebody to come up and say, "What's up, champ?" and the biggest thing on saying "What's up, champ" is win your next fight.
Yep.
But
That stuff hurt.
Sometimes it's not always the fighter, because even myself, I get temptation from people. Oh, you can come back and do it. And, you know what I mean? And it's like, you want to say to yourself, I'm content.
Yeah.
But it's like I tell people, you cannot take a pit bull and just make him be a poodle. Yeah. When all he's ever been was a pit bull.
Yeah.
That's just what it is.
You're right.
Thank you, Lamon Brewster, for coming on this show, sharing your knowledge. I really appreciate it, man. Love you, bro.
Anytime.
Hey, Steve, you my man. Love you. Thanks for being on the show. Thank you for sharing your knowledge. You got a big fight coming up on the 22nd.
Yeah.
Humongous. And he'll be back on the show talking about his fight and everything else. And thank you, fans. Thank you for all that you do. This is the Bird's Eye View, and I'll see you next week.
Rest in peace.